Now, this Saturday, another Heisman Trophy will be handed out, most likely looking like it's going to be Jayden Daniels for LSU, and it's well-deserved. But to me, it opens up an avenue to another question and something that's been in the forefront of a lot of college football fans' minds here in the recent seasons. Should Jayden Daniels play in his bowl game? In the ReliaQuest Bowl against Wisconsin on a 9-3 LSU team that's not going to be able to win a championship. And we all know that his draft status has rocketed up and will continue to rocket up after he's given the Heisman Trophy. Now listen, I'm as old school and as old-fashioned as it gets. That's why a lot of the changes in college football are a little bit abrupt to me, and not having rules in the NIL space and the transfer portal space is a problem. But when it comes down to today's bowl games and the way we look at it, sometimes opting out is the smart decision. Let's face it. Bowl games are not what they used to be when I was growing up, when we were growing up, where it was a reward at the end of the year for everyone, where you looked forward to playing the bowl games. Because number one, you got to see your team play another game, and also it was a matchup with another conference that you don't get to see a lot, even though the bowl tie-ins, I'm a little bit tired of those as well. I think you should just be able to pick whoever plays. But let's think about some of the backgrounds of these players. Most of them, if we're going to be honest, in certain situations, socioeconomically come from places that are not fantastic. They are the ones being relied on to be able to make it to the NFL so everybody can win. If you've worked your whole life, beat the odds, and have the small opportunity to make oodles and oodles of money in the NFL to help everyone around you succeed when they're counting on you, is it worth it to play in the ReliaQuest Bowl? Is it worth it to play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl? Nowadays, there's only two types of people that get excited about playing in bowl games. One is the person who needs that bowl game for the extra tape to send to NFL scouts to maybe improve their draft status. The second are teams that haven't been able to play in the postseason or are rebuilding a program, and that was the goal at the beginning of the year. We live in different times. So when it comes down to that gamble of playing in an extra game that in reality doesn't matter outside of the college football playoff and New Year's Six bowls, sometimes opting out is the smart decision. And that's just the reality that we live in. Something we can all agree on is that if you're tired of wasting your time on testosterone boosting products that don't work, we don't blame you. Whether you're playing in the bowl game or not, that's why our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, lets you try before you buy, and you can get a complimentary sample when you text 231-231 and enter keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. We're all getting older. Blaine, you've used this product. You speak unbelievably highly of it. We all have less energy. It's just a real thing, right? It's father time than we used to. It's due to a natural loss of testosterone. And if you decide to do something about it, Nugenix is the company for you. You'll feel revived, energized, and you'll be working out like you used to. It's got key man boosting ingredients like Testofen. It is a 100% awesome product. And you can get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text 231-231. Enter that keyword Crain. It's C-R-A-I-N. It's not spelled like the bird. Text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest and most powerful fat incinerator ever. I promise you it works. One of the things that helped me lose weight for the movie and my wedding, which happened to coincide at the same time, a little double dose there. And they have key ingredients to help you lose weight fast and get lean even faster. Absolutely free, but only when you text 231-231 and you enter keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. That's 231-231, enter keyword Crain. When you text, it enrolls you in recurring automated text messages, consent not required to purchase. I'm going to bring in my co-host, David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, my brother, Blaine Crain, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. And guys, listen, I get it. I get it. Football's the ultimate team sport. I understand the logical and rational debate on finishing. You know, Bo Nix is going to play for Oregon against Liberty. That's a little bit of a different case than playing in the Meineke Car Care Bowl. But even if you don't come from a bad socioeconomic background, smart business is smart business. If I am going to be a high draft pick, we don't get mad at people for sitting out of the Senior Bowl when they get invited, when they know they're going to get drafted. I know it's a little bit different. That's not truly a team. But if you're somebody that everyone is relying on and you are about to make millions and millions of dollars, I, as a coach, number one, would understand if we're going to play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl and you don't play. I think teammates nowadays understand that. That's something that you can explain. Not back in the day when bowl games were different than what they are now. But I think it's just the times we live in, and I can understand it more now than I could at the beginning. I don't think it's as crazy as what some people make it out to be. I think you.
Well, yeah. Look, you said this is indicative of the times we live in. That much I can agree with for sure. That's the problem. Is the times we live in. To me, I mean, ball players play ball, but I can certainly understand people making business decisions. I don't want to go around assuming like what kids do and don't come from socioeconomic backgrounds.
For sure, but it is a true thing that some come from bad.
Well, some do, but I mean, even then, I don't expect one kid to like foot the bill for his entire family, like moving forward for the rest of his life. So I don't know anything about what Jayden Daniels' background is or isn't, but the same, like I've always told you on this situation, you could make the same exact excuse that you're saying for bowl games for the last 3 or 4 games for LSU. They weren't going to win a national championship, so like, why even finish the season or play against Texas A&M?
Oh, well, you do want a certain amount of tape, and I mean, Jayden Daniels is playing to win the Heisman Trophy as well. I mean, you want to get those numbers. But listen, I'm going to tell you right now, especially having recruited, there's a lot of kids that foot the bill for their families back home. I recruited New Orleans, and a lot of kids that come out of there, they are getting relied on by everybody around them to elevate their family and kind of change the trajectory of it. That's a real thing. I see it all the time. But even if you come, if your father's a oil baron or whatever. A smart business decision is a smart business decision. I'm not going to fault somebody for doing that. To me, it's almost like saying, all right, well, I have this huge amount of money coming to me that I won at a casino. I know that I am getting it. I played long enough. I am getting it. I worked hard. Now I'm just going to go take it and put it all on red on the roulette table, and something that really, at the end of the day, yes, it matters. Yes, you can be there for your teammates, but I'm not going to get mad at a guy that's about to get millions of dollars for saying, hey, man, listen, it's just not worth it for me and my future to be able to go play in this game. Not that I would do it personally, but I can understand, Blaine, somebody saying, listen, this is smart. You know as well as I do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that the whole team's relying on you, talking about from a family standpoint, to be able to make that jump. And if something happens, yeah, you can have insurance. Yeah, you can have this, that, and the other. But when you're the one that's been relied on since you're 12 years old, like, that's a real thing.
Yeah, and that is a real thing. And there's a lot of different stories and a lot of different backgrounds when it comes to this situation. But why were bowl games made? In the first place, it's for money. That's what it is. The school gets a boost. The coach gets a boost. Who doesn't get a boost in this game? Players, right? Players make no money off of bowl games. And if the bowl games want to keep players to come out and play that game, I know this sounds nasty and it doesn't feel good, but they're going to have to tie money into players in NIL deals or whatever the hell they have to do for players to play in these bowl games. That's what it comes down to. It's college football. It's a business. It's a show. It's about money. That's why bowl games got made in the first place. You can go all the way back. So in the society we live in, the college football that we live in now, you're going to opt out because it's not worth losing your career over a game to go play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
But this is their career now. I mean, like this, you talk about all the time, like players wanted in the business with NIL. You got that. What's the other half of that? You have to honor your commitment. I mean, when I look at someone like Marvin Harrison Jr., who also just made the semifinalist, Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be an NFL player coming out of high school. Like, that's another part of this is like, why is it mandatory to be 3 years removed from high school before you can go play in the professional league? Marvin Harrison Jr. could have sat out this entire season, and he would have been an NFL player. So what good is it for him to go out there and run routes and possibly get hurt and not go to the NFL?
Well, how much money did Marvin Harrison make this year?
That's what I'd like to know.
He's not going to make any money. If he was in a random bowl game, he's not making any money off that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What's his NIL deal? How much money did he make to play in the games this year? And do you have to play in the games to get your name, image, and likeness?
Well, I like your idea.
The whole thing is broken. The whole thing is broken. How much money is Jayden Daniels getting paid? I heard it was like $500,000, $600,000.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you want it in the business, but now you don't have to honor your commitment to play in the games because there's another business opportunity that could happen a couple months from now. It's all a joke.
Well, I think, number one, I liked your idea the other day of putting playing in the bowl game within the NIL deal in the contract if we were able to do a contract together to keep somebody at a certain place. I thought that was
a good idea. That's business.
But to me, I think there's a big difference between the Duke's Mayo Bowl and you playing Texas A&M halfway through the season. I could sit here and say one of the worst things about Florida State being left out is it reinforced it. Why would I even play in the regular season if I could go undefeated and not be able to get in because one guy got hurt? Like, I think that's a bad look for the game, too. But I think treating the Hula Bowl like going to play at College Station halfway through the season or going to play in college in a regular season where you can elevate your draft stock. Marvin Harrison's not elevating his draft stock by going and playing in the bowl game.
But some guys could be.
Some guys could be. That's why I said there's
that's what I'm saying. My father-in-law, Richard Todd, the last 3 games, the Iron Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the Senior Bowl are the reason that he got drafted at all.
And some guys, that's the case.
And some guys need to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I said there's 2 types of people that care about bowl games in today's world. It's the person trying to improve their draft status, right, that wants to get that tape out there. Maybe it's a matchup where they're playing against a good team. Maybe Liberty, the guy at Liberty, right, that's playing Oregon, wants that tape of him playing against Oregon to be able to elevate his draft status. And then the second person is the person on the team who, helped resurrect the program, and all they talked about was getting back to a bowl game. And you can like that, you can not like that. I grew up in the same era that y'all did where bowl games were fun, right? It was a reward. It was a gift. It was something that you got to play an extra game. It was a privilege. Just unfortunately in the NIL era now, it's just different.
I know, but you were against Caleb Williams sitting out the second half of the year. Like when that
the season, yes.
Caleb Williams was going, like the same argument can be made for Caleb Williams halfway through the year. He was going to be an NFL
again,
player.
so you think the regular season is exact same as the Duke's Mayo?
No, I think that a guy who's about to make millions and millions and millions of dollars who can sit out whenever he wants to because that's his future. That's what you're saying. If you have to provide for your whole family, what difference does it make if you sit out the whole year, half the year, or just one game?
Well,
they're already out of it.
You've got to play in the regular season.
Not for Caleb Williams. Some guys do.
So if Caleb Williams sat out this whole entire season,
he would still be an NFL player. He would have gone number 1 last year.
That wouldn't have hurt him.
No.
That wouldn't have hurt him at all.
For me, if I was a GM, yeah, I don't want to see that, but not for some GMs. I bet there were some GMs telling him not to play. Like, hey, you're going to be the number 1 pick. We don't want you to play. We don't want the extra reps. We don't want the extra.
So if you don't play, then you don't get that NIL money. You think Fansville's gonna sponsor a guy that's not playing college football?
That's my point.
Next quarterback.
That's my point.
No, but
what do they have to do to get their NIL money? No one tells us.
But see,
no
we
one
agree
tells
on that.
us
It's
what you have to do.
Yeah, we agree on that.
I don't know the fine print, but I would assume that most of it has to do with the regular season, right? When it comes to NIL money. Like, I haven't seen one bowl. Like, bowls are going to have to pay kids to come play. Not only the school, but the bowls are going to have to pay these. It is play to participate. It is pay to play in college football. It is the NFL. That's when the only thing different is the NFL actually has contracts that we can go really look up and see what's going on. They're going to have to pay these kids to play. Because if you're a first-round pick, you're not playing.
Bryce did. Bryce Young was going number 1 overall.
Bo Nix is going to play.
Bryce Young was going number 1 overall if he played in the bowl game last year. Will Anderson. Bryce and Will Anderson both played last year.
And I applaud him for
They both played in the game last year.
I applaud him for that. But if Bo Nix would have said, listen, I'm going to be a top 7 to 10 pick. I've played in college for 35 years anyway. I've already paid my dues, but I'm going to be a top 10 pick. I'm not going to play in this bowl game. I wouldn't be like, this guy is the worst guy ever. From a business standpoint, I can understand the argument, especially with certain guys in certain situations, why you wouldn't play. And I'm not talking about the playoff. I'm not talking about New Year's 6. I'm talking about the periphery bowls. So it's an interesting debate, right? And you can fall on either side. I think there's a logical and rational argument for either side. We want to know what you think. Everybody on YouTube, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out our new movie, Lady Ballers. It was the top streaming movie in America on Rotten Tomatoes. We're unbelievably happy with the response. You can check that out on Daily Wire Plus. But also, while you're here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turn that notification bell on.